This afternoon, we have a couple things, few things under old business. We'll talk about new business, new application in a minute. At this point, and we'll move on to old business. Status of the ordinance, the update to the ordinance. Was that cleared up at any point? We need to continue with this conversation.
We talked about that, and it's not the ordinance, it's the.
Policies and procedures.
No, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, no.
Resolution.
Yes. And I asked Ryan about that and you about that, and I can't remember what you guys told me. I'm so sorry.
I remember talking to Ryan about that when we brought it to council. And council, in their minds, believe we have carte blanche in terms of decisions. But yes, it has to go through council at the end. But in other words, everything we do, I don't think has to be approved by council. Kim might correct me on that. But
I was under the assumption that we are a board that makes recommendations, council approves.
okay. Okay, maybe I was mistaken.
So it's not.
The ordinance
opinion on the
change
ordinance.
was to eliminate one company that was,
Elevated ventures.
And we did that,
we did that?
yes.
Okay.
That's what I think Ryan said, that had been done. And that's when I pulled it up and I said, I'm a little confused on what we're looking at and what has to be done. And, you know what, I didn't even look at this agenda, so I'm sorry. I don't have a good update on it because, we were looking at that resolution and I don't remember what that conversation was with you and Ryan, and you talked to me about it, Jerry, and I'm sorry, I don't know.
Does that have to go through council more than once, or did it just go once and then they voted
I think
for
it
the
went
change?
through one time, I believe.
I don't recall.
So we believe that maybe potentially the ordinance has been updated at this point.
I think so. I know you guys are talking, I'm sorry, I was half in that meeting and half out, and I will verify that this week with Ryan. We talked about what had been turned in, what needed to be done. So I'll check that with Ryan this week.
Yeah, I seem to remember us talking about it being presented at least once, but I didn't know if the vote went through.
Yeah,
I think that's where the question that we're having.
Oh,
So
okay.
if the vote actually went through with the changes that were,
January.
all the changes that were proposed. I think that's, but I think it was talked about. I think council had it.
I go back through my minute or the minutes from the council too to double check.
Okay.
yeah, I will too. I'll make sure that everything
I think it was a January meeting.
Yeah, it was January, February. It was the beginning of the year, so I'll double check too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, should I keep it on the agenda? For our next
Why don't
meeting?
you, yes,
Okay.
do that, and I'll look into it and just make sure that there's no other formal procedures that need to happen in order to make sure that everything is up to par on that.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion on that topic? Now we'll move forward to the marketing plan development as well as the marketing material, which Isaac, thank you so much for bringing the documents.
They look
All things go to Jackson. Jackson worked with Aretha, Maria, anybody else? Oh, Jerry, I'm sorry. And kind of went through these details, pushed them out pretty quickly. Got some revisions from all three of the individuals from the group, and then these are basically the final cut. So you have your traditional bifold that we've talked about in the past. Again, if we choose to create these, we'll work with Reith and the city vendors just to see who wants to create them. And they could be on thicker paper. This is just standard that we have. Then in a conversation, I believe the full board was made aware of kind of like an insert to where you had some layers to them. So that's how these were designed. You have one that's a traditional loan, which again gives some basic information. I give myself as contact as well as Jerry, which are the two primary appointments within these marketing materials, but it can really be any. You have the commercial one. I know Mark's been interested in getting that one out. and then the entrepreneurial one. So, all digital files have been given to the city at this point, I believe. I was told that earlier. If not, we will get them to you.
I'll double check. I think I saw the drafts and all that. I don't remember getting the final, but I will definitely look and see. I might have them.
You have the drafts. If, once we get them finally approved, we'll convert them over to final copies.
Okay.
That way we have them. You also have one other additional flyer, which is kind of something that we talked about, not only being a hard copy, but a digital copy that could go out, and that has a QR code on it, which right now goes to my website because the city's currently working on theirs. So we can make that and change that to wherever we need it to. All the information on the documents are pretty typical in terms of the notes that we're looking at. They're designed to capture so that they come to one place, get additional information, walk through the process. Yeah.
Am I right?
Jackson needs all the credit, not
The entrepreneurial program is 50 grand
the max award.
max. Yeah. The other two are 100 max.
No, actually, I take that back. I think the entrepreneurial one was 25 max, the commercial was 50, the industrial was 100. Did I have that wrong on there?
No, but I don't think it has loan amounts on here.
It doesn't. We don't have it.
So in the original document that creates I think it's a P&P document, policy and principle, it lists those amounts in that order. So industrial is 100,000, commercial's 50.
We have it on, you have it on here in this
My
one.
phone?
Yes, sir. A funding request through AIF should typically range from a minimum of, it just says funding request 5,000 to a maximum of 50. Investments up to 100,000 may be considered for high skill, high wage projects.
So that's pretty bland in there, but then when you go into the P&P document, it breaks it out as caps.
I was thinking that the entrepreneurial one, or that is the commercial one that is 10,000 twice. Is that for 20, rather than 25, isn't it?
No, the closest one to that we've actually done a couple times is the entrepreneurial program, to where we loaned out 2 chunks totaling 25,000,
Okay.
12.5 apiece. It reminds me of that. Again, that's something that's in the P&P document, so we as a board, if we find those amounts not to be copacetic with what we're trying to give out, we can change those. But
at least this gives a lot of information to any interested party to make the phone call.
Yeah.
Find out.
And what we'll do too is I'll make digital copies available on our website of these documents too, so we all have access to them if should you need them and want to print them out more, or somebody else needs them. But they're really going to be designed at the moment to do both digital and hard copy. So once we get formal approval, we can print up a bunch.
Go ahead.
We talked about like having business cards that we could give to the folks here at the AIF, or anybody in the business card stacks, so that if somebody does talk to us, we could hand them with a QR code and it would direct them to the page that had all the information where they could download these documents and also do that. So we're not the ones who are saying something that could potentially be contrary or wrong, incorrect for some reason. They would always have a consistent, consistent
Avenue to find the information, yeah.
So are we gonna still do that, or is it? I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think we definitely can, and I think our discussion on that was, do we keep it at the EDC's website, which I'm totally fine with, or do we wait and create a AIF page off of the city's website, and where does that QR code go? So that's kind of what we had talked about last, like, what do we do? If the EDC is fine hosting that info on their page, that's totally fine, and we could do it quickly, but if it's on our page, we just need to wait until we're officially built and running to make sure that we have a place that QR code will consistently take you to. So
right
that's
now,
up
I
to
don't
you
mind it being
guys.
2 places. I don't want to cause confusion
I agree.
by folks, but it's already built on our website. It's been there. We've
Yeah.
added a couple other things. And while yours is going through construction, I'm fine.
Okay. So I think that, we could get that QR code and do that. I think that's a great idea, Maria. We talked about even like real estate agents and different people that we could get that to, how that makes so much sense to really spread that word. to those types of businesses. So, along with this, we could get cards ordered, get these printed on thicker type if we think we need it that way, and
Yeah, and I think one thing that would be good for this group as we talk about it, kind of to the Mark's conversation, we've had questions about historical questions about boundaries. Where do these programs start and stop? And obviously it coincides with the boundaries of the city of Angola. So you need to understand where those boundaries are at so that we don't unfortunately misspeak and say, oh, you're eligible, when you're just right out there. Not that that one was, but that's a unfortunate pitfall that if you're not aware of the boundaries, it will happen because you drive through it all the time and might not even realize it. Well, city officials will.
no, and it can be
members might.
confusing because he is under our jurisdiction for permitting and zoning. So it's confusing to most people to understand that they aren't inside corporate limits, but they have to come to us for permitting.
Yep.
So it is a little bit, it can be confusing for a lot of people. So yeah, I understand. And I don't know, I mean, I hate to create a map because if we do any annexation, that changes, it's just hard because we're ever changing, but,
If I have a question, I'll just text Isaac the address and say, oh, you look this up for me.
And that's one of those things where if we do have a card or something, we can consistently say,
inside the
ETJ
corporate
is not
realm.
included in that extraterritorial jurisdiction, and
Yeah.
don't have to explain that, and just, send it to a place where all that is explained. It's gonna be easier on us, so we don't misspeak.
It wouldn't make sense to do a map for the website purposes that we could change
I
easily.
think the website maybe, I don't know that I would do it on the business cards or something, but I think the website, we could do that, cause that would probably be fairly easy to update.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's just to show, we already have maps that indicate our corporate boundaries, so that wouldn't be anything to add that
Yeah.
to it, so that would make sense, yeah.
Would we want to add the QR code to these other documents as well?
We have space to. Really, this was like Maria and Aretha said, this is a draft.
Yeah, they look great.
We wanted to be able to get something in front of this body. Again, Jackson has owed all the credit on this. I didn't touch a thing, so.
Go Jackson, go.
Looks great.
This loan that I mentioned to you, the CPA accounting firm, where would you classify him in the programs? I assume under commercial? He probably wouldn't follow under the traditional loan program?
That one still follows somewhat of an industrial feel, which is the original like 25 NASIC codes
The traditional does.
that we stripped out and we just said industrial. So high wage, high impact type of jobs is the traditional industrial program. I personally probably would have classified it under commercial, but that's something that this body has the ability to kind of case by case.
Because I was just reading through it, it kind of falls in both.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could argue both. So
And that was the purpose of stripping out the NASIC codes, because they were identified in, when this program was created in what, 2012?
13.
So different priorities then than they are now. So,
And you're saying that we've pretty much, if I understood you right, we've done away with most of the NASIC codes, right? So maybe now we can look at it, do a little bit more of what makes sense. Maybe?
I think every applicant comes in on a case by case. I think there are certain industries or certain industry clusters that you could, I say industries as a bold term or broad term. You could classify to one, it might sound commercial, and to another, it might sound industrial. I think on those, we could definitely have deliberation. But I believe the P and P document kind of defines some of that as open for discussion.
I think a lot of it's gonna come in as what they qualify for too. I mean, if they have great qualifications, we wanna try to get them the money, right?
Yeah. So I'm hearing that you like the documents as presented, maybe add QR code is what I hear onto the documents that don't have one. Currently, we're going to keep the QR code flowing towards the EDC website at this point. So something changes. We talked about a map for the corporate limits. on the city website? Is that, or were we talking on the EDC?
We'll put it on,
Okay,
yeah.
Wherever we,
wherever we've got the
our,
documents.
our landing page for AIF will have
Okay.
a court map and that you guys give me an updated one.
Any
Could
other,
we just continue to use the same page there? We're in partnership with you guys anyway on
It's
that,
not
for the
going
city as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And what we'll do when we build our site and get it going is, and I think it already does, it might have a little information on AIF, but directs to the
Great.
Steuben County EDC site. So,
Yeah, if you just do a straight redirect
Forward,
on that
Yeah.
page. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not, that page isn't going anywhere, and it's got a very simple SEO URL, so.
The only other thing I would wonder, if we're gonna print this on like cardstock, if we should make the contacts more generic, so you don't have to reprint it if someone were to leave or.
Well, I
No,
was
these
thinking
two,
about
if
that,
you
so
guys
you
are
mentioned the
really-
QR code. I know my pictures don't need to be on there, I'm sure Jerry would agree, his doesn't need to be there.
Yes, please.
So we can,
He's like, make mine
we can
larger.
create some space by taking those out.
pictures.
It does make it a little more personal. that
It
picture
does
there.
make it feel personal.
So we're gonna put Sandy's picture on there too.
fine.
Yeah. You like it?
Yeah, I mean, there's no sense to spend any more money than you have to. This,
And we could do it on even, it doesn't have to be full-blown cardstock. I mean, we have some thicker paper. We could even do it on something a little bit.
They're nice.
I suppose a picture helps because somebody might know Isaac's face, but not his name.
and they're gonna call you.
And then, I say, yeah.
And they're gonna be like, that's Mr. McDermott. He was horrible at school.
Yeah.
Maybe a detention.
He gave me the
Look at Jerry's cell phone put on there.
No, I was
ask for Ann? Yeah.
I think I can make that mistake happen.
All right. Anything else on the documents themselves?
If the group is happy about the majority of the information, what I'll ask Jackson to do is push with Rita, Gary, and Maria towards final copies. That way they're done, ready, and then we can work with the city about how many we want to print and who with.
Is this checklist pretty much the full checklist?
It's close, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
We had a good conversation about this checklist, Kyle and I did. So
Okay.
it's, for the most part, yes.
Yeah.
It's the main things that are needed.
All right, do we need formal approval of this, or we, based on the changes, or do you guys feel comfortable? Feel comfortable moving it forward?
Don't have any issues. We'll Jackson, continue working with Rita.
Okay,
That's great, good job.
sounds good. Yeah, I appreciate it very much. Good work. Everyone involved. Anything else on, we talked about the documents, anything else related to the plan itself, marketing plan, beyond the documents that we want to discuss today? Or do we want to move on?
Well, I don't, would we also want to maybe take out an ad or at least an article in the paper and social media, the city's webpage, about this being available?
So we've done a few social media posts in the past to the EDC. I'm more than happy to do that. Both the chamber and I have agreed that when we're done with these documents, we'll send them out through our normal chains.
And then can the
So-
city copy that post and then post?
So I'm
Perfect, okay.
all low cost, obviously, or no cost.
Talking my way.
Yeah, we'll share what Isaac and Jackson come up with on their page, and we can share it on ours for social media purposes as well. And then you guys can all share it on your LinkedIn pages.
And what we'll likely do for two different audiences. So for the chambers, we'll target both the entrepreneurship program and the commercial program. And for my distribution, that's primarily industrial. Well, I should say we'll highlight those, but you'll have, anybody clicking through the links will have access to all of it.
So I know in the past they've been really good about coming in. We've asked them to the last couple of times to go through this program. Is that something we want to try to do again? Really feel like it's not necessary and we try these other avenues first.
Have who come in?
Paper.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't know. Maybe just answer the question right there.
Yeah, no, I would say you mean WLKI would do something too.
Yeah.
If
What do you guys want to do?
newspaper covers our meeting at all, like they do council, they will see this meeting and then maybe they'll be able to contact us as well.
Yeah.
On a potential story.
And Jerry can be on WLKI along with Isaac.
But hello.
That old announcer voice ready to go again, Jerry. Voice of the Hornets over there.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
You are now.
All right, anything else? All right, thanks again for that work. Move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's the standard work developed for processing the post approval by the board. Kyle, you've done an excellent job putting together a document. Thank you.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of these meetings we talk about what's the process, who does what. So just really just labeled everything out, who does what, who leads which part of the process or which phase of the process, and work through it pretty quickly. It's an 8 or 9 week process, really depending on when the applicant gets in, when the board meetings happen, and all of that. So try to streamline it best we could, but definitely open to changes as well. I won't read through it word for word, but there are checklists for each phase as well. So the first part, if you receive documents verified, eligibility check complete, this will be Isaac and his team to take that on. The next portion of it, applicant assistance completed, this will be, Isaac will say, hey, you have all the documents or you don't. And if they don't, him and his team will help through those background and credit checks. Interview completed, site visit completed as well. Again, this will stay on Isaac's team. Phase 3, that's where we come into play. This is where they will come in and present to us, and then we will have a board meeting for a vote. Applicant presentation completed, executive session held, board decision recorded, and then phase 4. City council review and vote. This is where it would go over to city council decision, denial letter issued if applicable, led by AIF chair. You're welcome.
Or the vice chair if he's out of town.
Or the vice chair if he's out of town. Approval, move to closing phase. Isaac and his team is, holding hands with us every step of the way on this. So he's communicating typically with the applicant. He's working through the closing with the applicant as well to get that scheduled with the city clerk, treasurer, and goes through that process. Closing schedule, promissory note signed, funds dispersed, press release, public announcement complete for phase 5. And hopefully by this time, we're under weeks 8 or 9, but just depending on how fast we can get it through.
Way to be conservative on that estimate.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Should there be an indication of timeframe, and how that falls within the council's meeting?
So
Yes.
we talked about that. Luckily for us, the city of Angola meets twice a month. That makes it really convenient. The difficulty is AIF does not meet every
Yeah.
month. So if we have an applicant, we talked about this quite a bit. If we have an applicant, we're first going to, as a board, review the full application without the applicant present. Then likely in the past, we've scheduled a private meeting, an executive session meeting for that applicant to be able to give us a presentation. It's after that we have a formal meeting that we then either thumbs up, thumbs down. So we tried to build that into the schedule.
Okay.
It could mean that there's a special meeting called by us if needed. If it's, the summer months where we take a couple months off in a row, there might be times where we need to get an applicant through and need to work through those.
I think this is perfect, but in a perfect world, if we had to, we could move pretty fast on this.
Good.
I mean, if the customer gets us all the information up front, Isaac can get it looked at and get it to us, and we can meet, get it to,
Yep, I agree 100%.
I like the timeframe, but
Yeah.
I think we could go faster if we had to.
I think if the moon's aligned right, yeah, I mean, we timed it with AIF. You're looking at least at 2 of those meetings, one to receive the application, another to do presentation, time it with city council for the recommendation. That's who ultimately approves the check writing. And then Ryan's asked for at least up to 2 weeks after council to be able to cut checks, so
And that process has typically been pretty
it's
quick.
been faster, actually. I just don't want to put Ryan under the gun.
Yeah.
But we do have to meet twice regardless.
We've done it in the past. That's not to say that we can't, as a group, review the application electronically. But we've always had an opportunity to review it and talk amongst us as a body.
I like
And
the
again,
idea
anytime
of
we-
talking about it.
Anytime we meet specific to an applicant, we do have the ability and power to go into executive session based on that piece, but we cannot make any recommendations during that time. So,
I'm okay.
thank you.
I'm okay with
I was
that.
looking at my looking card to make sure I'm good.
I'm okay with that, but it appears to me that, and maybe I'm wrong, but it appears to me there's a wasted step in there because I think if you bring that to us and you've already done your due diligence and you want to make it, what's the chances of us telling you we don't want to do it?
I appreciate that, Mark, the trust placed on this seat and myself. That's the position I don't want to be in. Matter of fact, I want you to have objective questions about an application. All I'm doing, and this is what I told Ryan, or Kyle, excuse me, I'm assembling and making sure they filled out the application properly. I'm no different than a CSR at the bank. I'm not reviewing cash flow, debt to income ratios. I'm not doing any of that.
Right.
I will at a point, but when I'm assembling the application, that's not to say that I'm giving a recommendation to this body. I agree it, I approve it. So,
Okay.
sorry. I don't want to be in that seat.
You can handle it though.
I appreciate it, but
I mean, ideally, we get it done faster than that. Everybody loves it if you get it done early. Everybody hates it if you don't stick to your timeline.
Sure.
I feel good about 8 to 9 weeks. Should give us more than enough time to go through.
Did we do a press release and public announcement after the last one? Because remind us,
I don't,
we're not remembering.
I don't think we did, and I don't
Okay.
think Jeremy actually really even.
Okay, I don't think it did. I just don't even remember talking about it. So I saw that and I was like, oh, did we miss a total?
We're on there for the advertisement for the next people to
Yeah,
apply,
yeah.
so they know what we're doing, what he's doing, and maybe if they didn't want to be a part of it, maybe we could just do something on behalf of AIF. like
You know, I
maybe-
think it's a great idea. I just
Yeah.
was thinking, gosh, I don't remember.
I don't know that we did anything for Food Alive either.
Okay.
along those lines, we did talk about perhaps seeking testimonials. Is that something we might want to add?
Yeah, we could also do a look back as well, give it 6 months and do a look back on the business and, maybe do something else at that time.
Yeah, I think some quotes or little clips would be great for testimonials. Absolutely. This is really good, Kyle. And thank you guys.
Could do a podcast and interviews, huh? 6 months later.
Good, yeah.
Put a few snippets of video from their location.
This would be good to add to our binder if we.
Any other input on the checklist? Just gonna have somebody to use it with, right?
That's a good point.
All right, thank you so much. Any other old business to discuss? If not, we'll move on to new business. Do we have any new applications? Any
We were
prospects?
so close.
So Mark made me aware of a prospect that's just outside the lines. Jerry sent me an application from MD. That's all I'll say at the moment. That was about a month ago. I reviewed the sample business plan. There was a lot of formatting and a few sections in there that still reminded me of an unfinished application. I sent an email at that time out to this person to kind of fix that and follow through with the checklist. I didn't hear anything back, but I didn't get a bounce back either. So I want to make sure that
I hadn't heard.
it's not out in purgatory somewhere where
Okay.
this individual didn't get that email. So I'll follow back up, but that was something Jerry sent about a month ago. We did go on a BRNE visit with a few industries in city of Angola. Both times the AIF note was mentioned. There's a possibility of one with a company just north of here. Depends on if corporate wants to do it, but they don't like debt. We have a few of those companies like this right now that have their own cash to burn, so we're trying.
All right, any other new business?
Do you wanna look at anything you wanted to discuss on the reports? Is that under new?
That,
Were you gonna do that?
that goes under
Oh,
reports.
sorry. Sorry. Skip ahead.
Any other business before we get to reports? All right, we'll move on to reports. So thank you for providing the reports. We have the account itself, and then we also have the Foods Alive, and obviously this is the newest. Yeah, HPI as well. So those are provided, the amortization schedule and highlighted where they're at in the process. Are we aware, have either of them not made payments? I assume it looks like they've made payments.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, everything looks, yeah.
So all of them are required to have ACH payment distribution, so for them to not be able to make payment means the account.
They don't have any money, yeah.
So, you hope that's not the case.
Yeah. Any questions, comments on the reports? Again, we'll continue to bring them a couple times a year
I mean, I
to.
think that we were talking about, I don't know that the amortization schedules are gonna change. This report we could do once a quarter maybe, or something to kind of keep up if that's what you guys want, but this I think is gonna be the same.
Yeah, it's a little odd, our schedule, because we go 2 months on, 1 month off, 2 months on, 1 month off. So like the timing of that, maybe we do it either every other month that we meet, every other meeting that we meet or something, or we do it,
The first meeting after,
yeah. Or I could put together a calendar, maybe it's twice a year, I don't know. I'll maybe bring that next time.
Yeah, you guys kind of determine how often you want to
Yeah.
see this. I have to get it from Ryan, so.
I do appreciate, Mike, how Ryan set up the schedule to show the terms at the top of the note. It gives you a reference of time. Of course, HBI was just done, Foods Alive was done right after COVID. You see the difference in interest rates.
Exactly.
They're not
Yeah.
that low anymore, are they?
Yeah.
So it shows you the flexibility, obviously, of each of the notes that we've done.
All right, anything else on the reports? Okay.
Rita, is that enough information for you? Discussion on the reports?
Yeah.
Okay. Just double check.
Wanted to go over these reports that Kyler made copies of for me.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you for talking about the reports, Ian.
No problem.
We could come up with a couple more questions if you want.
Yeah, right.
Good, I'm good.
All right, so it looks like we're down to section 10 here. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. We are adjourned at 16:45, sorry, 16:35. Okay,
Next meeting October.
October 20th.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, how's that possible?
In layman's terms, what would you, how would you classify our city limits? When you go out north, is it 200?
Because it varies, you have to go to one of the city maps. Oh, real quick, by the way, I noticed this on one